Hello, welcome to American Baker in Germany. I'm Michelle, and today we are making my daughter's second birthday cake. Every year we have to have two parties because we have a very large family. So this one's a little bit more adult oriented, and it is a Daisies and Bows cake. I'm very excited to show you this today, so let's get started.
I begin by making the bows. I made the bows for this and her Minnie Mouse and Daisy Duck birthday cake at the same time, so that's why I have the same footage. I begin by using all of my bow cutouts, discarding the tails. I use tissues to hold up the loops of the bow and let them dry like that. I will be able to remove the tissues after about a day. Then I made a bow freehand by folding a long rectangle in on itself and wrapping the center with a small, thinner rectangle. Then I repeated the entire process with the dark pink. I used all the bows on this cake that I didn't use on the other cake. I had several daisies that were slightly dry after sitting out for the time I spent on the first cake. I made them simply by using daisy plunger cutters of various sizes. The plunger cutters don't always cut all the way through, so I used a knife to finish cutting where it didn't. If you like what we do here, consider subscribing for a new cake video every Monday, as well as regular bonus videos with recipes and other tutorials. I stacked this cake on a large cake board. I forgot to get the cake layers out of the freezer early enough to allow them to thaw, so I had to use them frozen solid. I brushed off the ice crystals and had to take the cake off of the turntable so I could press it into the cake board with all of my body weight behind it to make it more flat. It did work though. I filled and frosted the cake with the same Swiss meringue buttercream with peanut butter folded into it that I used on the other cake. The cake is my vegan chocolate cake. I crumb coated the cake and let the buttercream set up in the fridge. I had some lavender fondant, but it wasn't anywhere near enough to cover that large cake. So I made more by mixing white fondant with a bit of dark purple, and then mixing the two lavenders together. Then I frosted the cake once more with more peanut butter buttercream. I rolled out my lavender fondant. Measured it to make sure it was large enough, picked it up with my fondant rolling pin, and draped it over the cake. I smoothed it on with my fondant smoother in my hands and cut away the excess with a sharp knife. There were a couple of small wrinkles at the bottom, but I knew I would cover them up with decorations. I stuck the largest lavender bow on with edible glue. Then I got out the letters I needed to spell my daughter's name with my Disney alphabet cutters. These are a bit tough to figure out which letter is which, so feel free to look it up if necessary. Then I rolled out some white fondant and used the cutters to form my daughter's name and age. I had trouble with the letter I since it's just so very thin. I tore the first one trying to take it out of the cutter, so I had to make another. I placed the number 2 next to the bow and the name Natalie around the top, starting in the middle to center the name. Then I cut out some daisies using the smallest daisy cutter and placed them all around the base of the cake to act as a border. They didn't quite line up and I had to cut one in half to finish the border. Then I placed some large daisies on the top of the cake and some medium-sized daisies around the sides at regular intervals. I loved it at this point, although I felt it needed more bows. I used the rest of the leftover bows from the Minnie and Daisy cake, including the pink ones. I just felt that a cake for a toddler needed a bit more color. Finally, I used my bow fondant press mold to make some more lavender bows and placed them between the daisies on the side of the cake. While looking it over the last time, I decided to put on one more large daisy. I think this cake turned out lovely. It's an understated Daisy Duck cake for a little more mature party, and what girly girl doesn't love flowers and bows? Happy birthday, Natalie! For more cakes and tutorials, visit our website, AmericanBakerInGermany.com. We're also on Facebook and Instagram. Don't forget to subscribe.